options at quarterback this offseason. You stick with Russ. Give Justin Fields a shot. Recent report from friend of the show, one-time First Things First guest Andrew Filipponi, says they're considering Daniel Jones. Greg, this is a lightning round because Brew spent 7 minutes talking about the Cowboys not making the Super Bowl but still being S-Bob. So we have to go fast here.
Absolutely.
What's Pittsburgh's best option at quarterback?
Man, I don't know what their best option is, to be honest. When I think about what they have right now, Justin Fields on their roster, he's probably going to be their day one starter, to be honest, if they don't land one of these guys. Because none of these guys that are out there, Aaron Rodgers, Sam Darnold, obviously Russell Wilson.
What about your guy?
Daniel Jones, I actually like the situation. I don't know if they'll go do that because I don't think they believe he can get them over the hump. And so that's the thing with the Pittsburgh. You're trying to compete in the AFC against, look in their division. You can't have one of the worst quarterbacks in that division every single year. You got to try to find your guy, and I don't think they're going to be able to find it.
You talked about me dropping Brock Purdy. I mean, how about?
Well, he already dropped Daniel Jones, but I'm glad you have agreed he dropped Brock Purdy. He just conceded.
You talk about it doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah,
I'm out with my feet. Here, I got an answer for you. Greg was just talking. Matthew Stafford is my first choice.
We're getting to that later.
No, I'm just saying. He's my first choice. Second is Aaron Rodgers. Because he's not messing up the culture. That's my concern about Rodgers. Will he mess up the culture? No, not in Pittsburgh. And third, keep Justin Fields.
Okay.
Go with that.
Well, Justin Fields played better than anybody expected, and so did Russell Wilson. So why can't Daniel Jones go there and play better than people expected? He's only got the one winning season since he's been there. He's been dinged up. He's been sacked an incredible amount of times, but someone who's been sacked more than him is Russell Wilson. I think Daniel Jones still has an opportunity to be a productive quarterback, and his price point for where the Steelers may want to be at that sort of veteran journeyman quarterback is probably going to be more in line than some of the other guys we talked about.
Unfortunately, you're all wrong. The answer is they have to draft a guy.
They do both.
So be it. But the point that I'm making is the Steelers. You are in a division with Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow.
Correct.
You have to get off this treadmill of quarterback mediocrity.
Stick with Justin Fields.
Well, who are you taking? I mean, they tried with Kenny Pickett. You got to get the right guy.
Right, but in the similar draft spot is where they got Ben Roethlisberger. Now that was in a very strong quarterback draft because it was Eli and Phillip Rivers in that draft. This is where I would really consider, I said this before, seeing what type of draft capital I could get for T.J. Watt and use that to move up to draft a quarterback. Like this is we've talked about Mike Tomlin being this great defensive mind, and he is, and I said this before. Yeah. All the money can't be spent on defense, and it's like we have Tomlin. Tomlin's got to coach up a defense that doesn't have all your best players on it so you can pour more resources into the offense, or you're just going to have this hard ceiling Pittsburgh's had. So,
yeah, this is I mean, this was obviously a very rushed discussion because they ran out of time. So it's kind of a little messy because they didn't really talk too much about Daniel Jones and all of that. Listen, the reality is the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't good enough offensively and don't have the infrastructure offensively to be able to make someone like a Daniel Jones a great quarterback. And they need to have a great quarterback. That they just do. Okay? This also continues to show you, because the Steelers are all over the place. You hear that they're interested in Trevor Lawrence, in Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones. They obviously don't believe in Justin Fields. That's the most obvious thing ever. I keep talking to Steelers fans about this. It's obvious. It's clear. They do not think Justin Fields is the guy. They do not think that. They've had him for a whole year. There was no pressure for him to start in the playoffs. There was no whispers. There was no team meeting from the players saying, hey, put Justin in. There was none of that. Even when the Steelers were going on their losing streak, there was never any true, strong, like, come on, man. Put Justin in there. At halftime in the playoff game, nothing. It just didn't exist. So the players know it. The staff knows it. Justin Fields is just not that guy. And they don't have the Kevin O'Connell. They don't have the Sean McVay, the Andy Reid, etc. They don't have that coach where they could be like, you know what? I can take Daniel Jones and I think I can actually really do some great stuff with this. Brian Daboll, who I think is a really good offensive mind, was very limited with Daniel Jones. And they had that one good year for sure. Saquon Barkley was there too. And I get it. The Giants had a bad O-line. I mean, they have a lot of issues, quite frankly, the Giants. But the Steelers have never shown their ability to kind of stabilize an offense. And it's a problem. And I agree kind of with what Nick is saying of getting off this treadmill of like, we keep just going with quarterback mediocrity. The only way you can have kind of like, and I don't even know how true this is anymore, but like an average or pretty good quarterback is if your defense is absolutely dominant. Dominant. And like you had the Philadelphia Eagles defense. But then you would need an awesome O-line and a run game and ask your quarterback to play a high-level, complimentary ball. But at the same time, you then still need that said quarterback to step up big time when he's asked to, when he's needed to. And that's what everyone kind of thought what was wrong with the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, they're like, oh, Jalen Hurts is average. He's just a pretty good quarterback, But then when they really called Jalen Hurts' number, he passed with flying colors. And then some. Super Bowl MVP. So it's like the Steelers do need to find their quarterback. They do have Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. And we don't even have to just look at the division. Just look at the AFC as a whole. And again, the only way you beat those guys is if you have, again, and outside of having an awesome quarterback, you then need a dominant defense. Not a really good defense, a dominant defense. Dominant defense. And then you need an awesome running back, and you still need a quarterback who can play incredibly high-level ball, who can then also take over a game. Many games. And then at that point, then you're not talking about just a good quarterback. You're talking about a great quarterback who's okay just being a good quarterback throughout the season. Jalen Hurts. Then Jalen Hurts, though, went to 2 Super Bowls and then was elite. Elite in both of them. That's not Daniel Jones. That's not Justin Fields. That's not Russell Wilson anymore. And again, the way how you get someone like a Daniel Jones or a Russell Wilson to thrive is by having an unbelievably stacked and awesome offense. That's how you maximize that quarterback. So it's just a weird, messy situation that the Pittsburgh Steelers keep finding themselves in. And it's if you're a Steelers fan, man, like, you got to just be so annoyed. Because you're just like, all right, we got Justin Fields. Well, I guess that didn't go anywhere. We got Russ. All right, I guess they're moving on from him. All right, now what are we going to do? Oh, Daniel Jones? Like, huh? And then I heard whispers of them, like, going to maybe try to trade for Trevor Lawrence. Like, huh? And again, I don't know where the answer is in the draft from a quarterback position. I think they needed to be more aggressive from an offensive coach standpoint, is what they needed to do. They needed someone with a true offensive vision. That is probably, arguably, the biggest problem that I almost said the Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions, that the Pittsburgh Steelers have, is that they have no actual offensive guiding force who's like, I'm going to tell you what we need to do offensively. I'm going to tell you who I see in the draft, or, who we should draft, who we can get in free agency. I'm going to do that. That is what the Rams have. That is what the Vikings have. That is what Andy Reid had, with obviously it's easy now with Mahomes, but when he had with Alex Smith and then getting Mahomes, like that is what these consistently, highly run offenses have. And it's no shock that the Pittsburgh Steelers offense continues to be just not good enough when they have no actual grounding offensive voice who's like, all right, guys, like, I'm going to take control of this. It's like trying to run a business, a massive business, and have no CFO, and then you're shocked that your finances are messy. Well, you have no real CFO. You got a bunch of people who are just trying to pretend. So things are going to be messy, man. Things are going to be messy. And you're going to continue this. And I get kind of what Nick is saying, where he's like, hey, well, Mike Tomlin, he's a great defensive mind. If he's a great defensive mind, then he shouldn't need like all these great weapons. And it's like, all right, well, for Andy Reid to truly be Andy Reid, he needs a Mahomes. For McVay to really be McVay, he needed to upgrade from Goff to Stafford. Like, you still need your guys here. You can't just give him no one. I get what he's saying, but you still need the guys. But that is what's the hardest part when you have some great pieces on a team, but you're still kind of pretty far away from the goal. of what you're trying to achieve. And then it's just like, well, what do we do here? You got a TJ Watt. You got a Myles Garrett. You got a CD Lamb. You got a Saquon Barkley. But you're like, we have some of these incredibly special players, but we're still so far from where we need to go. And it's just like, how do we go? How do we get there? How do we get this next level? And it starts with aggressive moves with management and coaching. And the Steelers just don't always, pretty much never do that. They always make, especially offensively, a lukewarm move. A lukewarm coordinator hire, a lukewarm quarterback, and it's not even a wrong move necessarily, especially considering the circumstances last year. It's like, I think going out and getting Russ and Justin Fields kind of made sense. It kind of made sense, but then they didn't do enough offensively to support those moves. If you really want to be aggressive, right? They would have went out and got a Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, and they would have went out and got like a Derrick Henry and a Saquon Barkley, and they would have bolstered up that O-line. They would have grabbed a Worthy as well. They would have just made other moves to be like, all right, we now upgraded from quarterback, but now we're also got to upgrade from other pieces as well. That'll put us more over this hump here. And they just don't do that. And so it's a lot of these half measures. And so you kind of just get a half team. And that's what the Steelers have been. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? What do you think the best option is for Pittsburgh Steelers? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.